first off, give yourself grace and realize that saying no is a skill. And most women have to learn how to do it. So we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, at least in the beginning. I mean, probably forever, right? I would start with someone that trustworthy, like someone you know is not gonna like freak out on you when you tell them no. And just start there, because once you do it, it'll get easier next time. And so you just have to keep working that muscle, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the way to do it with confidence is knowing your priorities and knowing where God has called you to right now, and being able to filter all of the requests of you through those priorities.
Hey, Mama. Welcome to Revival Mom Podcast, where we're growing closer to God, learning to stand on His truth, and walking in our authority as moms through Jesus. I believe that revival starts with moms knowing who God is and who they are in Him. This overflows onto our children, creating a generation of kingdom warriors that are on the winning side. Amen? A generation who loves God, seeks Him, and changes this world. If you're in for a warm cup of coffee or tea, grabbing a quick workout or a deep conversation, and ready to be bold in your faith, hearing from God more clearly, and seeing revival in your home and community, you're in the right place. It's time to connect with God and be courageous so we can walk in victory. You ready? Let's go. Hey, Revival Moms, welcome back. Today I have a guest for you. If you've been wanting to walk in more peace, find rhythms, things that work in your day, if your days have just been feeling a little chaotic, and hello, it's summertime, so that may be the case, but we're going to be talking about how you can find that peace, bring those rhythms in to your daily life so that you can be more productive and get more done while still showing up for your kiddos. So I have Aliese Helcom here, and she is a Christian mompreneur, speaker, and encourager on a mission to help other faith-filled moms build peace, purpose-driven, peaceful, not just peace, but yes, peace too, help moms build peaceful, purpose-driven lives and businesses. As the founder of Helcom Studio, she's supported hundreds of women with branding and tech, but her greatest passion is sharing what God has taught her about setting priorities, creating rhythms, and stewarding both motherhood and mission well. Through speaking, coaching, and real life encouragement, Aliese equips Christian women to trade chaos for clarity and walk confidently in the season God has them in. Aliese, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
You're welcome. It's so exciting just to have other moms on who are doing the thing, who have young kids and just really focusing on the Lord and the mission that He has given us. And so I would love for you to share just a little bit more about who you are, but why being a peaceful mompreneur is so important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have one son. He is almost three. I keep forgetting that he was about to be three. So we're very excited. But before him, I had a thriving business as a graphic designer, freelancer. That's my trade. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. But then the Lord blessed me with this tiny person that also needs to be kept alive, right? So when you're building the business, it needs to be kept alive. And whenever you have new little people, I guess the whole time they're, in your care, you have to keep them alive. I only know up until age 3. But now I was responsible for both of these things. And when I say I wasn't prepared to be a mom, like I had never changed a diaper in my entire life. Like a lot of women, like they are, have babysit or they had younger siblings. My younger sister is only a year and a half younger than me. We didn't do none of that, so there was none of that. The nurses showed me how to do it in the hospital, and we left and we're like, okay, now this is ours. Let's do this, right? And so I know that is, I would imagine that no matter how much experience you think you have, it's scary once you take this tiny person home, especially for the first time. And so I was like, okay, Lord, now what, right? You get through the blur of the first little bit, and then you're wondering, okay, what does life really look like? And the Lord had not let me let my business go, right? Like He has still called me to serve women and help people, and so but I also have this new responsibility of taking care of this person. And so through a lot of trial and error and crying on the floor with my son also crying on the floor, we figured out, like, I started realizing that if I didn't have a plan, things were not going to go well. And I am a gypsy at heart. Let me tell you, the idea of schedules and rhythms are not good for me, or they break my brain. But I have put them into practice and realized, like, this is freedom. Having a plan, knowing what's important, knowing what to say no to because you know what's so important, really frees you in a way that you won't know until you start doing it. There's no more, "Oh my gosh, did we brush our teeth?" Well, unless occasionally, but, there's no more of this, like, frantic, like, I don't know what to do next, and so my brain's always thinking about what we need to be doing. I already have a plan, so I can be present with where I am. So when I'm building my business and I'm on calls with you or coaching women, I know that where I am is exactly where God has called me to, and I'm not neglecting my son, because I also know that there will be other times in my day that I'm not thinking about you or the clients that I have. I'm thinking about him, and I can be 100% focused on him because I have my day planned out. Does that always go perfect? Absolutely not, right? But I can always fall back on that. And so to be able to say, where I am is exactly where I know I need to be. God has called me to all of these things. We're wives, we're mothers, we're business owners, we're friends. We can be purposeful and intentional with our time so that we're not basically wasting it being physically present with someone, but not actually with them.
Mm. Yeah, that is so good. I love that. For me, it's funny. You said I'm a gypsy at heart. I've always been like the time blocking. So when I had kids, it was like my time is not my time anymore. Like I can say I'm going to do this from 7 to 8 a.m. and then there's a diaper blowout or they're hungry right now. Or, you know, I also chose the route of like feeding on demand and like all these things. So that doesn't quite work when you're time blocking all the time. So I love how we kind of came from like two separate areas. But you mentioned, for you, it was like finding those rhythms so you can know in your day, like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. This is where God has called me to. I haven't forgotten anything. Like, we're moving through this. So, what for a mom who is overwhelmed because she doesn't really know where to start, or the mom who has been time blocking, right? And she's like, oh no, now my life is not my own, right? Well, you felt that way too, but but we can't quite stick to that same schedule. So what would you say her first step is to setting up her own rhythms so she can be mom, wife, starting her ministry or her business or doing whatever God has asked her to do in that time?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what I would do first is really take a step back and realize, like, take an inventory of what you are doing, because we can't make good decisions by thinking we know what's happening, right? Everybody thinks that they have their priorities in order and these are the things that are important, but you really don't know unless you're taking a look at where you're spending your time. And so, my recommendation really is taking a minute, having a seat, and writing down what it is that you're actually doing. Not what you want to be doing, not where you wish like things were going right, but things that you are actually spending your time on. And I know this can sound overwhelming. um, my best friend was like, if somebody told me to write down everything I ever did, I would just leave. And I'm like, just take a second. Like, it's okay. I know that it can sound overwhelming, but the thing is, you do a lot of the same things every day. So don't think like, oh, I have to figure out my entire week. But like, I mean, you guys get up probably similar times every day. You probably, you have church at a certain time every week. Like, I'm not saying, to take a breath. It's okay. You can do it. Okay. So, and to really get an understanding of if you're living out your priorities or if you are just saying they're important and giving them lip service, you have to see where you're actually at. And so taking that step back and saying, I say that these things are important. Are they actually in my week? And so if they're not happening in your typical week, not the crazy week where you bought a house or where you're, going to a funeral 3 states away, like, but in your regular week, if it's not occurring, it's not important to you. Like,
Mm.
it's just not. And maybe you need to make it important because you're like, "Gosh, the Lord definitely told me to do this thing, and I am
Yeah.
ignoring it," but you're not living it out. And so to be
Mm.
able to do that, you really have to step back and look at your life as a whole and then make some decisions because I do, I am sure they're out there, but I have not met a woman who doesn't have too many things happening in her week or said yes to too many things. Now, like I said, probably out there somewhere, but I haven't met them yet. And there's something that you are giving your time to that God did not ask you to give your time to. And if
Mm.
you say yes to that thing, then you're saying no to something else that he told you to. Yes, you don't get to give them out freely without giving something else up. So every time you say yes, you are saying no to something
Mm.
else. And so that has to be worth it for you and for your family and for whatever God has called you to steward.
Yeah. Dang, I love how you mentioned or how you said like anything you say yes to is saying no to something else. And so it's like we get to really focus in on, is this the yes that God has for me?
Mhm.
And doing that by knowing our priorities. I heard it said once, your priorities are the things you spend your like mental energy on, your time and your money. The things you think about the most, the things you spend your money on, the things you spend your time on. That's how you can really see. And so you sharing with us, like, keep track of your time, because then you'll know, like, what am I actually doing? Is this my priority? Is it not? And so that's so powerful. And you mentioned, not saying yes to everything. And there may be some of us here who have had issues with saying no in the past, who we have struggled in the past with saying no. What do you say to her? How does she start saying no and doing it confidently and without guilt?
Okay, yeah. So I would say that you need to first off give yourself grace and realize that saying no is a skill. And most women have to learn how to do it. So we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, at least in the beginning. I mean, probably forever, right? Like sometimes it'll just still be hard. But I would start with someone that trustworthy, like someone is not gonna like freak out on you when you tell them no. And just start there because once you do it, it'll get easier next time and it'll get easier next time. And so you just have to keep working that muscle, being comfortable with being uncomfortable and knowing the way to do it with confidence is knowing your priorities and knowing where God has called you to right now and being able to filter all of the requests of you from yourself or from people outside of you, through those priorities. Are they actually serving me in this season? Are they serving my family in this season or my, business in this season? Because there's lots of good stuff that's not
Mm.
good for you or not good for now. We can do almost anything, but you can't do it all at the same time. Like, so it's just, I wish there was like an easy way, like just do this thing and you'll be able to say no to anybody. No, it just takes practice. It's like everything. You just have to
Mhm.
do it and be tired of where you're at because what you've been doing ain't working. And so
Mm.
if you don't want to be there anymore, you got to change something. So saying no was a good place to start.
Mhm. Wow, it is too. And it's freeing. Right now, it feels scary,
Mm,
right? Right now, it could feel scary, especially if you've never done it or you're just used to saying yes. But it is freeing when you're able to do that and then allow God's rest and to see what he has planned for that time and for you instead.
yeah.
And so when we're working through those priorities and figuring out, what do I get to say yes to? What do I get to say no to? And say, okay, I know what my priorities are. Now, how do I start applying this? Like, because we want to be good stewards of our time, right? Of our families, of our businesses. So how do we actually apply that? Like, I have my list of priorities. I know what I've been doing.
Mhm.
Now what do we do?
So yeah, so the next step after you've written down, what's important, what you're actually doing, it is to start actually putting those into a weekly rhythm. right? And so what we would do is you would write. I'm big on the paper, but people like digital stuff. So if you're into digital, that's cool. Basically, you write Monday through Sunday, and you would start with the things that you can't change, right? You can't change your Sunday service. You can't change your Bible study or, any of those things. So I put those on there in your calendar at the time that they are allotted. Let me back up. I'm sorry. Before we get there, um, you have this list of stuff that you are doing. It's a critical step. I'm sorry. Before you do that, you need to look at that list and get pretty. I would say that you need to be, you know, aware of what you're doing. There's four things that you can do with those items. You can keep them the way they are. You can delegate them out if they are important, but they don't need to be yours. You can limit them, and then you can get rid of them completely. So I would go down that list and I would, start deciding what these are. Is this for now? Keep it. If it's what you feel like the Lord has really called you to, then keep it. That's great. Is it getting in your way, but it doesn't need to be removed completely, but maybe you're letting, it be too much? Then figure out what that limit is and write down how often you're going to let yourself do it or whatever that looks like. If it's like watching television or being on your phone or being on social media, like whatever that thing is, like maybe you don't want to cut it out completely, but you should put some boundaries around it so that you aren't wasting time doing that. It's an easy hole to fall into. And then you can
Yes.
delegate something out that, like I said, is important, but maybe not you're specifically need to do that. And that can be in your family, or if it like something that you're doing at home, like can you get your kids to wash dishes or ask your husband to start the laundry before he goes to work in the morning or whatever that looks like, that can just take something off of you. Everything isn't your responsibility. Now it might be your responsibility to make sure it gets done, but it's not your responsibility to physically do. And so if you have a business, that could be hiring someone or bartering with someone for a like whatever the task is that either you don't like or you don't want to do or you're not good at or whatever that is. And then there are plenty of things that we probably should just nix like completely. And that's a hard thing to do, but getting rid of stuff frees up your mind. We're talking a lot about peace, a lot about freedom, and like not having to do things that are not in line with you right now will be a burden lifted off of you. It'll be scary originally because you got to tell somebody you're not doing that anymore. And like we were just talking about saying no, but it's a good opportunity to start saying no and staying in the confidence that you know that this is not where the Lord has called you at this moment. And so give it a try, friend. And so cut the stuff out. And maybe it's not necessarily something that you have to, you know, tell somebody, but maybe you're not gonna, I don't know what you could be doing, running 7 days a week in the morning and you're like exhausted all the time. Like, what maybe that's a cutback. I don't know. You know your stuff, not me. I'm not coming up with a great example. But so like then you nix these things out. And then I would look at those things and I would decide how long things take. Right? So that's a big thing. We we often think that we can do a lot more than we can in a day, and that we can't do as much as we probably could in a month, right? So like
Mhm.
our ability to really be able to tell if this is going to fit is skewed. And so I would, like everything, like everything new, it will take some adjustments. You're not married to anything that you're saying or anything that we're, right? So write down how long you think something's going to take you. And so just go down your list. You already made the list. You kind of know how long it's going to take you and just put it on there. After you do that, see, I told you I missed all kinds of stuff. And then you're going to take it and you're going to put it on your weekly schedule. And so, like Sunday church on Sunday, or whenever you go to church, or Wednesday Bible study, or, you go to a play date with your friends on Thursday mornings, or like whatever that looks like, things that you can't change. And because you're not in charge of the time. So, no one's changing Sunday service because you don't like it at that time. So, sorry. So put those in there first. And then after you have those, you have the list of other stuff that needs to be, done because you nixed things that need to be nixed, you limited things, you delegated things, and then you're adding those to your schedule. So you want to, if you're running a business, I'm going to use that example, and you want to work 10 hours a week and you can work, 4 days for 2 hours a day during naps, then you have these other 2 hours that you really need to figure out, like Can you add those to your list after everybody goes to bed, one night a week or two nights a week or whatever that looks like? So this schedule is very flexible. And so you get to decide where it fits. It's your schedule, it's your family stuff. The only people you got to talk to about it is the people in your family, people that it affects.
Mm.
And so, and then, like I said, you're not married to it. If I had to be married to anything other than my husband and to Jesus, like I would not be doing it. Okay. It can't be a thing. And so you just tweak it as you go. And I feel like it sounds like a lot of stuff, but when you walk through the process, it really isn't as bad as it sounds. It's just
Mm.
a lot of being intentional and being aware of where you're spending your time. Just like you have to do with your money. If you're not aware of what you're spending money on, it's gone. It's like, where did it go? The same thing with your time. And so we've been called to steward our time well. So that's what we're going to do.
That was funny. That was totally Holy Spirit because right before you said, just like with your money, I was thinking about when your bank account, right? And I was going to say, it makes me think of when you're trying to pay off debt or when you're trying to figure out a budget. What do? You print off your bank statement and you see where it's going. You categorize it. You're like, okay, I'm spending this much here, this much here. It's the same with your time. So that was totally Holy Spirit. That's funny. You mentioned early on in that about boundaries
Mhm.
and setting up boundaries around you, around your time, the things that you're doing. What does that look like and how can we consistently do that? I have someone that I know, she was really trying to spend time with the Lord. And would set alarms. She'd try it in the morning, she'd try it in the evening, she'd set an alarm midday, and then she'd just like swipe it off and continue what she was doing. Right. So, what do you say for that? Like, how do we, if it's something we want to start or something we want to stop,
Yeah.
setting that boundary up and like getting ourselves to stick to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, trying to start something like your friend who's trying to do this quiet time, it
Mhm.
really is, and it sounds like she's tried a couple of places. And so, knowing that it doesn't have to look like everybody else's, like she obviously believes that, and that's great. But it also comes back to some personal responsibility, right? Like, we can't just you cannot tell me that this is important to you if you're not going to actually try to do it. So,
Mhm.
setting up a time and doing it, and then if you say, like, okay, this doesn't work and changing it, that's not the same thing as just ignoring it, right?
Mhm.
So, I would say to be able to set a boundary like that, you want to try to start doing a quiet time. Let's say somebody wants to start doing it in the evening before bed. I would say, okay, so you know you want to do it. Who is it in your life that you can tell? Who will send you a message or ask you about it? So what this is a story. Me and my best friend, we had we both only have one kid, and she had hers about 10 months before me, and we were both struggling to figure out like when to spend time with the Lord, and we were trying really hard to do it in the morning, and we were not making it right. And so we just decided, it took longer than it should have, that it's okay, we can do it at night. The Lord loves us at night too. And
Yeah.
so we would text each other at 9 p.m. like, and we would, at that moment, we would turn off everything and we'd go both do our own things. But we both knew that at 9 o'clock we were going to be getting a text message from the other one, and then we would do it. So find someone who can say, like, hey, are you doing that thing that you said you were going to do? And if you can find somebody who's going to do the same thing as you, that's even better because you're both
Mhm.
doing it together. And then tell the people around you that it's going to affect. In that example, we would need to tell our kids were definitely in bed because they were little, but like our husbands also needed to know that. So, like, this is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. And so, like, no, we can't hang out. No, we can't watch this movie. No, we can't do this. So, like, letting them be aware and being very upfront about it before they're like, what are you talking about? We've always done this. We've always done these other things. Like, why are you leaving me? And so, like, you just want the people that it affects to be aware. So, especially if you're starting to add something. I mean, you want the people that it affects to be aware if you're trying to get rid of something too. So let's say you're gonna, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, I had an example and it's gone. So gone. Oh, here we go.
What about starting a business or something that,
Okay.
if they're wanting to do that
If
and
you want to
they,
start a business, I
yeah.
would say like that's adding something for sure. And that's definitely
Mhm.
being, intentional with telling like the people that it will affect, because you will have to start spending time on something that you didn't before. So the people in my world know that when Asher, my son, is asleep, like I am working. Like my sister will call me sometime and she's like, "Is Asher asleep?" And I'll say yes. She's like, "Okay, I'll call you later." And like there's no like, "Hey, I have to go, I'm working." She
Yeah.
knows because we've talked about it. And so if you're going to do this and you set up the times that you need to work, then you need to tell the people that typically want you or need you in that time frame, right? And so because if you're in this bubble, they don't know. And so
Yep.
you think that they're intruding on you, but you've given them no clear boundaries on what that looks like. And so being clear is being kind. And so tell the people around you that it will affect you, and go do the things. Like, it's on your appointment, like go do it, put your phone away, like whatever that looks like for you that would distract you from doing it. And have some people who will tell you, or be like, "Hey, you doing that thing?" Like, I have a friend who's starting a business, and so she can't, or not, she can't, she has decided she's not going to go places in the mornings. Her daughter sleeps in like late. I don't understand how a person, like a baby, sleeps so long, but she does. And so she does all of her stuff in the morning. And so like, and I know that, so I can reach out to her and be like, "Hey, did you get this thing done that we talked about?"
Mm,
Having a community, having people around you, even if it's one person,
yeah.
will help you create that boundary, even better than just doing it by yourself. Because like we can tell ourselves we're gonna do anything and then be like, "Well, I'm just lying to myself. It don't matter," like who
Right.
cares? So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. And I will say too that it still does matter, even if you don't tell anyone.
Yes.
Because, well, I know you know this, but just for everyone listening, it still does matter because you are showing yourself that you're not keeping your word. And so then you lose trust in yourself. And so, but it's so true to have those people to share and to set that boundary with, and just sharing with them, this is what I'm doing at this time. And so if I don't answer, this is why, but I'll make sure to call you back or whatever it might be. And yeah, that's so amazing. And so, well, I guess we kind of, we went over like setting those boundaries and how to share that with them. Is there anything else that you would just want to share with moms who want to find more peace within their day, who are feeling it, whether they have a business or not? Like days can be crazy with work or kids and going here and there. Just anything that you would want to share with them that want to see more peace within their home.
Yeah, I would say, and this is something that I struggle with, and I have to remind myself of more often than I'd like, is wherever you are, be there, right?
Mm,
Like your business will
yeah.
still be there, your phone will still be there. Like if you're with your children, just be with them, and not only like enjoying that time, but like don't rush through to whatever is next, right? So if you're
Mm,
creating rhythms and schedules, whatever it is coming up, and you're like, is it time to do that? Is it time to do that? And like your brain is trying to be in the next place and you haven't gotten there yet. So like just keep playing dinosaurs, man. It's cool. Like it'll be all right. So this is not my advice. Like this is what someone else said, and it helped me a lot. Instead of saying like what's it time, what time is it? Saying what's it time for? And
mm.
her name is Lisa Figgins. I don't want to, or Liza Figgins. I'm not gonna steal.
I just heard that. She must have been on like a summit or a podcast that I just
Yeah.
listened to because I'm like, I heard that just
Yeah,
recently.
and that's been very helpful for me. So I'd like look down on my watch and I'll be like, "What time is it?" And I'm like, "Actually, like, I need to know what time it is because I need to make sure we're not like missing something." But then I reframe that and say, "Okay, what is it time to do right now?" And I'm like, "Okay,
Hmm.
focus on where we are right now." So that was
Mm,
good advice, and there you can have it too.
yeah. I love it. That's amazing. So, Elise, where can women just find out more, connect with you, learn how to get into these rhythms, all those sorts of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a free gift for everybody, and it literally will walk you through all the steps that we talked about today. Setting your priorities, doing your inventory, getting rid of stuff, delegating things, all of that jazz. and then creating the actual weekly rhythm. And so it's called the Healthy, Sustainable Weekly Rhythm Guide. And it is built for busy moms. So, like, if that's you, this is for you. And so this guide will literally walk you through that entire process. And it's way simpler than, sometimes it can sound as I say it out loud, right? And so that is great. And it's at my website, alisehalcombe.com. And yeah, so
Awesome. And the link will be in the show notes, and how you can connect with her and stuff like that will also be there. And so, Aliese, I just want to say thank you so much for being here, for sharing everything that you did, and just helping moms to step out of that place of just feeling chaos and maybe even guilt that their time isn't going where they think it should be going or where they want it to be going, and stepping into that place of just peace. So I appreciate you.
yeah, thank you so much. This has been fun.
Before you go, thank you for listening to the podcast. If it has blessed you in any way, the number one way you can thank me is to leave a review on Apple Podcast. I love hearing from you and seeing how this show has impacted your life. Second thing, take a screenshot of this episode or your review and share it on your Instagram story, and I'll share you on mine. Together, we're the spark of revival.